Hello all, and welcome back to another Hyper Blue Reviews. Today's topic is a farming simulator called Professional Farmer American Dream. Does this game actually live up to the American Dream, or is it a simulated nightmare? Let's find out. So back in the pre-internet days, parents were faced with hard decisions when it came to purchasing video games for their kids. There was nothing that really spoke to the quality of the games that were for sale. So I feel like I often gave my parents a hard time when they purchased a game that sounded cool but ended up being a dud. Fast forward to a couple of years ago, and I'm trying to get a game that I think my kid will enjoy. He was really in the trucks at the time, so I thought he might enjoy one of those farming simulator games that are released every year. I look it up and see they have decent reviews, so I figure, it should be a slam dunk. I go to the game store and, sure enough, they don't have any of the farming simulator games. But they do have another farm title, Professional Farmer American Dream. Never heard of this one, but it's cheap. I do a quick Google search and nothing. Guessing not too many people have played it. But like I said before, it was cheap and it did look to have a lot of farming trucks in it, so I purchased it. And I'm officially now one of those parents that doesn't do much research on a game and purchases it based on the description in the back of the box. I've become what I've always made fun of. Ironic in a way. Anyway, Professional Farmer American Dream was developed and published by UIG Entertainment, also known as United Independent Entertainment. It's quite the mouthful. They're mostly famous for making simulator-type games, but they're also famous for releasing unfinished games and also discontinuing their support for them shortly after people purchase their games. They aren't the most reputable, and they seem to have released games on most major platforms. Steam seems to have the most info on them in terms of user comments. I doubt there's much difference between games on each platform, but for this review, I will be focusing on the PlayStation 4 version. The story is rather simple. You're a farmer. Farming is your life. You live and breathe farming. You seek to be the only farmer in the local area. It's your dream to purchase all the available land and farm. You have no family besides a loyal dog that will follow you around your farm and the animals you buy. Farming is all you know. To not farm is not an option. Our ambitious protagonist must farm. It is his destiny. Farm and expand. Expand and grow. I mean, honestly, that's the game. You just farm. There's no backstory that I'm aware of, so I made my own. Now, when it comes to the gameplay, that's another story. There's a lengthy tutorial that shows you how to take care of your crops and animals on the farm. Controlling the vehicles is a bit cumbersome at times, especially when farming equipment is attached to the vehicle. When there's an attachment on your vehicle, you move slower. Makes sense, but when I say you move slowly, I mean you move as slow as an exaggerated sloth in a children's cartoon. It makes tending the fields a hassle, as it's nearly impossible to get everything done in a reasonable time, which takes away from the overall enjoyment of the game, as that's the main thing you're supposed to be doing. Honestly, if you're interested in growing crops, the best way to farm in this game is to hire help. The help will take care of everything and you don't have to lift a finger. It's great for the player, but I'm sure it does make the protagonist sad. Remember, farming is his life. But to be fair, the farm is still running. It's like you're the boss of a business at that point. So, given that the developers thought to add the hired help feature, they knew that their game was a broken, boring mess and people would lose interest quickly. Not to give away my rating yet, but there you go. You'll eventually discover that there are other areas surrounding your farm. Most are there to provide you with more farmland, but there are places to sell your goods as well. There's plenty to look at with random buildings and NPCs walking around, but they don't add anything to the overall experience. You'll also discover the only town in the entire world, aptly named Town. I guess Town is a step above the Town with No Name, given that it actually has a name, but at least the Town with No Name has more interesting things to do. In Town, you can purchase animals for your farm, purchase equipment or vehicles, and stores where you can sell your items. And that's really it for the gameplay. So, how does one succeed at Professional Farmer American Dream if it takes forever to farm everything yourself? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's Hyperblue's patented guide for becoming a farming millionaire. No, you will only become a millionaire within the game, Professional Farmer American Dream. I have not tried this in real life, so I cannot guarantee any success there. Step 1. Ignore the fields and go straight to the animal store. Step 2. Purchase a variety of animals. About half of the max will do. Step 3. Hire a helper to care for the animals. Step 4. Skip ahead 2 to 3 weeks. Step 5. Go to the butcher located in town. Step 6. Sell half of the animals that you own. They should have multiplied given the time lapse. Step 7. Repeat steps 4 through 6 until you have as much money as you want. Step 8. Drive around and purchase all the available farmlands. Step 9. Hire help to manage your farm. Step 10. Skip ahead 1 to 2 weeks and select the next event for your farmland. Grubbing, tending, etc. Step 11. Repeat step 10 until you plant your seeds. Step 12. Skip 1 to 3 weeks and harvest your crops. This patented method will unlock all of the animal achievements and the money earned achievements in the game. You can repeat this method as much as you want until you're happy, but don't forget, we're also trying to make sure that the farmer is satisfied. Remember, farming is his life. Mind you, I don't think the game actually ends, so I doubt that the farmer ever truly becomes happy. After all, he does live to farm. So as I was saying, there is no beginning or ending to this game. The sole purpose of this game is to farm. The crops take a long time to grow, but you can mostly ignore them assuming you have hired help. The farming aspects are pretty fun, depending on your definition of fun, but as I've said before, it's tedious. As I mentioned earlier, the controls for driving around with farm equipment is too cumbersome. You drive very slowly and it's very hard to maneuver around the field. Hiring help to farm for you is the best way to go. It increases your productivity and ensures your crops won't die. Same can be said for the animal helper. Speaking of animals, you can own a variety of animals up to the triple digits on your farm. However, it doesn't matter how many animals you truly own, the farm will only show a set amount. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but this game is a buggy mess, especially when it comes to the achievements. For the PlayStation 4, there are 18 trophies in all, and I've only unlocked 11, although I've completed the requirements for most of them. This seems to be an issue with the Steam version as well, so I assume it persists through multiple platforms. When you get bored with the farming aspect of the game, you'll probably find yourself wanting to explore the world. There is a lovely pickup truck that you're able to customize, that is, paint different colors, and drive all over. While driving, you soon find out that you're able to drive through most objects, like trees and speed limit signs and bushes, for example. But if you run into something you're not supposed to, then you come to a dead stop. This ain't GTA, this is Farmtown! Laws of physics have no place here. If you T-bone a car, both cars stop in place until you back up. You run into a side rail and you basically freeze in place. It's amazing. Town also features a lot of bad humor parodies. For example, you may notice signs for like a knockoff Pepsi or Century 21. The game does have nice graphics, although I would contend that they're more PS3 era graphics and not PS4. They're nice nonetheless, just not breathtaking. The music also has no business being in this game, and I mean that in a good way. I think the music is actually pretty good, which leads me to believe that the developers probably stole it. So all that being said, this game was released by a known bad publisher, and I would highly suggest that you avoid them at all costs. They just popped this game out for a cheap buck. There is a patch to the game, but I have no idea what it fixes. They abandoned the game shortly after they released it. I've also never seen a game try so hard to keep people from playing it. The farming aspect is time-consuming and very slow, like real farming I guess, so maybe point to them. Your field will probably never look professional because of how you drove over them. Working on just one small size field takes about 30 minutes to an hour to complete one task, so I can only imagine how long it takes to tend to the larger fields. Luckily for you though, you can hire the help to tend to those fields. The game is able to play itself, which allows you to explore the world, which is nice, but kind of weird given that, you're supposed to be the one playing the game. In addition to playing itself, the game eventually kept me from playing my main profile. Every time I would attempt to load my rich farmer profile, it would bump me back to the title screen. The game was kind enough to let me start a new game though, so there's that. Funnily enough though, the game wouldn't allow me to progress very far in the new playthrough either. I was skipping some weeks to progress my crops and the screen faded to black and never came back. To top it all off, the game doesn't autosave, so I lost a lot of progress when the screen blacked out. Thanks a lot, UIG Entertainment. I can safely say I'm not entertained by these shenanigans at all. That being said, is there some goodness in this bad game? Honestly, yes, but not much. As I said before, the music is nice and the scenery is pretty decent. Other than that, you're just a farmer living in purgatory. You can only farm and do farming-related things. There are recreational areas, but you may only stop to look at them. You may not partake. It's kind of sad when you think about it. Given the amount of game-breaking bugs that renders the game unplayable, I give Professional Farmer American Dream 0.5 terrible joke signs out of 5. That's 1/2 out of 5. More importantly though, if you see a game produced or published by UIG Entertainment, avoid purchasing it. Your money will be better spent on something else. I hope you enjoyed this review. As always, thank you for watching.